Cradle the Baby.
It's kind of got like a little beer belly on.
1, 2, 3.
It's the idea that if you're going to do something, you should do it right or not do it at all. There's no reason to put something subpar to what you're capable of doing and presenting that to a consumer. I don't understand why you would ever do that.
What we hope to change as a company is what is central to the message of modern coffee. That is the consumption of coffee within a 14-day window after it was roasted. The geography, of course, with my accent I hail from the UK. I moved to the States back in 2000. Settled in New York City for 7 years and then moved across to Jersey. I used to be an art dealer for a living and travel a lot. When our daughter was born, my wife and my daughter was born, the ability to travel so much changed, so I looked to find a new passion and hobby and job here. That became coffee when I met a coffee roaster who introduced me to specialty coffee and the very nature and the concept of freshly roasted coffee. And then that journey took me to California, where my wife's parents are from, to a coffee convention where I met my now partner Justin, who is our roaster and also part owner of the company, who I convinced to come to Jersey and start this undertaking.
I'm the roaster for Mod Cup Coffee. My job is to make the coffees interesting, bring out the innate flavors of each coffee and kind of showcase those characteristics in every single cup. I started working in a cafe just to pay for my college, and eventually I came down a line where I had to decide whether I wanted to go into radiology or take a different pursuit in life. And so I had to make that decision kind of quickly, and I decided that I wanted to dig deeper into the coffee industry. And so I began apprenticing under different roasters back home in Ohio. And that will, just to kind of keep digging deeper into this industry, is really what drove me to decide that that would be my career path.
There's some symbiogy about being an art dealer and moving into this business. Was that I enjoyed the most part about art dealing was educating people about the art, not so much the sale of it and the commissions from it. I enjoyed educating people on it. It was actually one of the reasons I got out of it towards the end, because I felt that people didn't really want to learn much about it anymore. They just wanted to own something to hang on their wall to say how much money they earned, and that was kind of a bit off-putting towards the end. What I found with coffee when I jumped into this was because not many people know about coffee or the very nature that coffee is a perishable product, you had this instant tangible response from the consumer that I was lost when I'd got 6-7 years into being an art dealer. So the first thing I'm doing is blooming the coffee, and the reason for that is that we only deal with coffee here that we roast ourselves. And our whole premise of this business is that we won't serve coffee 14 days past the roast date, because we're roasting the coffees to try and highlight the natural intrinsic flavors inside of the coffee beans. And 14 days after the roast date, those are gone anyway, right? So the first thing I did there was bloom the coffee, and that was to expel the gases that are imparted into the bean during the roasting process.
Living in Ohio, but I was in San Francisco for only about a week, and when I met Travis, the final night, coming back from a bar or something, he had said, you know, you should consider coming out to Jersey City and pursuing this with me and taking this on. And being that I've gone through so many life changes or whatnot, I decided why not. It was a great opportunity for me. It gave me the opportunity to perfect my craft, but as well learn from somebody else that has different experiences and different values and everything like that.
Well, the first thing that I found that hooked me into coffee was the taste of when I drank a freshly roasted cup of coffee that had not been roasted to extend its shelf life. And what I mean by that, is to darkly roast the coffee bean to extend its shelf life. It had been roasted with the origins characteristics in mind. So first of all, it was the flavor. I was like, I had no idea coffee could taste like this. I'd always filled my coffee with cream, milk, sugar. Basically, to mask bitterness that comes from the over-roasting process or the fact that the coffee was stale. So that was the first thing that I latched onto. No chemical process, no transformation of product, just wholly, it can taste like this. And then secondly, that the public had not been told that coffee was a perishable product, and me as a salesperson going, that right there is what everybody should know and hook into.
So this is the Mod Cup roasting facility. This is where all the production takes place, bottling, bagging. This is our cart here, which we started off on. Very fortunate to begin on such a small, beautiful thing. This is our sample espresso machine. This is where we test all our blends that'll go through any espresso, single origin espressos, as well as training for wholesale accounts, just so they can start to craft their skills and hone in on how we like our presentation of coffees and overall espresso extraction, which takes hours upon hours of training just to really dial in something that would be, what we see as so simple. We really work for sometimes 2 weeks on just espresso extraction, which is a very finicky thing. Over here is where all the roasting takes place. This is where we bring in all our samples. Our samples come from anywhere. This is a particular sample from 90 Plus, one of the world's best coffee importers. So what we'll do is we'll take a 500-gram sample of the raw coffee. We'll analyze it first to make sure there's no defects, insects, or anything like that, bites or stones. Just make sure that this sample is up to par before we even spend time to roast it. Once that happens, we bring it to this smaller machine here. This is our sample roaster, which is also the first roaster I ever purchased. This is where it all kind of started from, so there's a lineage with this machine that hits very close to home for me. After we've sample roasted a coffee numerous different ways, we'll bring those to a cupping table, analyze the coffee, and then we bring it into our big batch roaster here. This is where 100% of our major production goes. Anything that is a small batch or more special green coffee we'll do on a smaller roaster. However, 95% of our production comes off of this major roaster here. It's got a really, really nice color. We can still see the center crack to the coffee. There's no tipping or scorching. There's no crater holes or anything crazy like that. This coffee is evenly roasted.
Welcome to the Thunderdome right here. This is the centerpiece, I guess, of Mod Cup Coffee, a restoration project that took 2.5 years in gestation to the final product. What you have is a 1969 Citroen H-van that we imported from Normandy, France 2 years ago and had fully restored into North America's very first mobile coffee roasting truck. There are other Citroen H-vans in the country that I believe serve coffee too, but they don't have a roaster inside of them. The crazy concept for this entire company was to roast in front of people so they understood the nature of coffee being a fresh product. So what better way to do that than first of all get something that would turn heads, hence the truck itself, and then of course this thing right here, which is, as I said, is the first in North America where we can actually roast coffee live in front of people so that they can get the experience of coffee being roasted, and 2 Liverpool espresso machines inside of them that we imported from Naples, Italy, 2 grinders, espresso grinders, so that we can do single origin coffee, espresso, as well as our blend. So this tap right here will serve carbonated cold brew, so it comes out like a Guinness. It's an experience if you've never had it. It's quite a caffeine bump as well. We had the interior wood panel to give it some warmth as well. Yeah, it's been an experience doing this. It took 2 years, like I said, to get this thing done, but it's finally here.
There's a lot of different elements to deciding whether a coffee is going to be on our bar or not. We go through numerous coffees coming from similar regions or closer regions. From there, what we have to do is sample roast them, where we roast them in a few different ways to figure out a taste profile. From that taste profile, then I present them to Travis as well as the rest of the people in the company, and we all kind of grade them and figure out which ones speak the most to us and which ones represent that area the best.
Let's discuss levels of coffee. There's 5 levels of coffee, and they're scored by what's called a Q grader. A Q grader is somebody that is licensed and certified to grade coffee. Very simple. Even the worst coffee in the world can't score less than 70. So 70 to 75 is your first category of coffee. We call that commercial coffee. Think diner coffee. Then you got 75 to 80. This is good commercial coffee. Think Dunkin' Donuts. 80 to 85 is where specialty coffee starts. Think Starbucks. 85 to 90 is true specialty coffee. Think any third wave coffee shop. 90 plus is exceptional flawless quality. That is about only 1% coffee in the world. Now, just to let you know the green coffee standards we buy at Mod Cup, we don't buy anything less than 85. Our base coffees and blend coffees are 85 to 90 coffees. Our single origin coffees are always 90 plus coffees. So when I say we're part of the 1%, like our strap line is 99% of all coffee is served stale, we're part of the 1%. That's a reference, of course, to the freshness of the product being sold by establishments, but it's also true of the level of coffee we buy too.
So that quest for quality and control is something that drives us each day to get better ourselves, but so that our consumer can elevate their standard of coffee and what coffee is.